this lesson, we're going to read a news article together so you can improve all areas of your English. You'll expand your vocabulary, learn advanced grammar, and improve your pronunciation at the same time. And this article discusses a current event, Donald Trump's plans for Venezuela's oil. Welcome back to JForrest English. Of course, I'm Jennifer. Now let's get started. Our headline, Big Oil offers reality check to Trump's Venezuela dream. Big oil is a term that's commonly used in the media and everyday speech to represent the large oil companies. So all those companies combined are referred to as big oil. So if you're in the industry, you might say, we need to get a meeting with big oil, or we read the report from big oil. And it's conjugated as it, which is why we have this S on the verb offer in the present simple. It offers reality check. This is a great expression to have in your vocabulary. So imagine you come to me and say, Jennifer, I am learning English from scratch, from the very beginning. You don't know any English, and you want to take your IELTS and get the highest score in 30 days. I could reply back and say, reality check. It might take you a year to get that result, if not longer. So if you say something that sounds like it isn't possible, it isn't based on the reality of the situation, I can reply back and say, reality check. So if your friend or your family member wants to tell you about this amazing vacation they want you to take, you might say, reality check. I have 3 kids, 2 dogs, and a job. I can't go on vacation. So it's a fun expression. Native speakers use it a lot. We commonly just use the 2 words before the reality of the situation. So you can just say reality check. But if you want to put it in a full sentence, you could say here's a reality check. And then you would say, I have 3 kids, 2 dogs, and a full-time job. I can't go on vacation. That's the reality of my situation. So this is a noun, and that's why I have the article here. Here's a reality check. But like I said, natives commonly just say the 2 words. Don't worry about taking these notes. I summarize everything in a free lesson PDF. You can find the link in the description. Let's keep reading. Big oil companies. So notice here they're adding companies. So now the subject is companies, so it's plural. They have. But if you just use big oil, what would be the conjugation? Big oil has injected, because just the term big oil, like I said, represents the largest oil companies, but it's conjugated as it. So here the subject is actually companies. Big oil describes the companies. They have injected. So if you inject something, it means you put that something in. So in this case, what are they putting? What is the something? A heavy dose of realism. And where are they putting it? Into US President Donald Trump's plan. So they injected, they put in this dose of realism. Realism, you can think of it as reality. That's where the reality check comes from. Into US President Donald Trump's plan to rapidly invest billions in Venezuela. Pointing to, so this represents the reasons why they need to inject a reality check. They need to see the situation less optimistically and more realistically. Pointing to the reasons why: complex security, commercial and legal requirements to revitalize the country's crumbling oil industry. Notice here we have the verb vitalize. When you add re, it means to do it again. So it sounds like Venezuela was already thriving. So if you can think of it, it's very vital, it's thriving, and then it's not. So you have to revitalize it, bring it back to a thriving state, revitalize the country's crumbling oil industry. If you describe an industry as crumbling, It means that it's declining. Just like if you describe a wall as crumbling or a building as crumbling, the state of that building is in decline. The building is declining. So that is the use of the word crumbling. You often hear this to describe industries in the media or in a business context. Are you enjoying this lesson? If you are, then I want to tell you about the Finally Fluent Academy. This is my premium training program where we study native English speakers from TV, movies, YouTube, and the news so you can improve your listening skills of fast English, expand your vocabulary with natural expressions, and learn advanced grammar easily. Plus, you'll have me as your personal coach. You can look in the description for the link to learn more, or you can go to my website and click on Finally Fluent Academy. Now let's continue with our lesson. On the face of it, Friday's televised White House meeting with the leadership of major U.S. and European oil producers. So instead of major U.S. and European oil producers, you could also say with the leadership of big oil, was a win for the U.S. president. Now, if you just read this, you would interpret it very differently without this included. But when you add this, I know that, okay, it seems like it was a win, but there's more to the story. Because when you add on the face of it, it means based on appearance. Best way to understand this. Imagine when you see a friend, an acquaintance, a coworker, you see their vacation photos from Instagram. Everyone is smiling, everything looks amazing. So you might say on the face of it, their vacation looked amazing because they didn't post any photos of when they got into fights with each other, when they got lost for hours, when their wallet was stolen, when they lost their passport. They didn't post those photos, right? So you only have what seems to be true on the face of it. You could also say on the surface. On the surface, it looks like they had a great vacation. Of it, it represents the situation. On the face of it. If you used on the surface, you wouldn't have to say of it. But if you use face, you can't just say on the face, but you can just say on the surface. So on the face of it or on the surface. Let's keep reading. It projected a sense of urgency. So the it represents the meeting on Friday. It projected, so if you project, it means what is visible or what is displayed. Just like when you go into a job interview, you need to project confidence. And you can do that with your body language, with your tone of voice, with the words you use as well. So you can say the candidate projected confidence. It projected a sense of urgency. So urgency, of course, we need to do this now. Let's go, let's go, let's go. There's urgency behind it. It projected a sense of urgency coming less than a week after the ouster of Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro. The ouster, this means the removal. But this word is used specifically in a political context or perhaps even with executives of major companies, like a big oil executive. You could say the ouster of the CEO of Exxon, one of the big oil companies. But you wouldn't say this to talk about the ouster of a dress in my closet, to talk about the removal. So it's only the removal of a prominent person in a powerful position. So either with a company or with a country. The ouster of Venezuela's president. And Trump received lavish praise. So lavish is an adjective, which is a more advanced way of saying a lot of praise. So lavish, a lot of praise. So that's a great adjective if you want to sound more advanced or if you want to add more colorful language to your vocabulary. We use this to talk about spending habits. You might say, I attended a lavish wedding. So you can tell there was a lot of money spent on the decorations, the dress, the food, the venue. So you can say, I attended a lavish wedding. So lavish praise from many executives around the table. Let's keep reading. But the meeting was far from a ringing endorsement. So here they're talking about relatively positive things. It was a win, lavish praise. Then they use the transition word, but. So I know they're going to introduce a contrast. So they're going to talk about the more negative side of the issue. But the meeting was far from. So you might say, my English is far from perfect. So here's perfect. And here's your English. You have a long way to go. My English is far from perfect, but, because remember, you can use but to introduce a contrast. So that sounded negative. So now you can say something positive. My English is far from perfect, but I'm improving every day with the help of JForrest English. Does that describe you? And you need to stay positive even if you say something that sounds negative. So put that's right, put that's right in the comments if that describes you. And adding on but plus something more positive to balance something that sounds negative is a great way to project more confidence, project more optimism as well. So again, put that's right in the comments, show that enthusiasm, show that dedication. But the meeting was far from a ringing endorsement. So a ringing endorsement simply means a very strong endorsement. And if you endorse someone, it means you support them. A ringing endorsement is commonly used in a political sense or even in a business sense when you're trying to get people to support a project you want to do or a person you want to hire, a plan. You might say, I received a ringing endorsement from the executives. So full endorsement. The meeting was far from a ringing endorsement, not a full support of Trump's ambitions to see energy giants, alternative for big oil, energy giants, because giants represent the largest, most powerful companies. You can refer to those companies as giants. Energy giants pour $100 billion. So you see the dollars last, even though you see it first. $100 billion. And notice there's no S on billion. The S goes on dollars. $100 billion into Venezuela's oil industry, dramatically increasing. So increasing by a very large degree, that would be dramatically increasing its current production of around 900,000 barrels per day. And instead of per day, you could do a day. And commonly in written English, you'll just see a forward slash, barrels slash day. But verbally, you would say per day or a day, even if I saw it written with the slash. Here's a common example. I study English or whatever activity for 30 minutes per day. 30 minutes a day. So again, in written English, it's very common to see this, but you would vocalize it as per or a. Let's continue. Indeed. So indeed is a transition word to provide an additional point to support what you just said. Remember, but introduces a contrast. So now we're talking about more of the negatives. And now we're going to have another point on the negatives. So the reasons why Trump's plan may not be realistic. There may need to be a reality check for Trump's plan. Indeed, ExxonMobil, so this represents big oil, one of the big oil companies, one of the energy giants. Indeed, ExxonMobil CEO Darren Woods asserted that the Latin American country was currently uninvestable. Uninvestable. Okay, asserted is a more formal way of saying said, stated, or even argued, which sounds a little more formal as well. In everyday speech, you could use said or stated. Now, notice how there is quotation marks around uninvestable, because this isn't actually a word in the dictionary, but native speakers understand what it means. Investable means you're able to invest, and if you add un, it makes it the opposite. So you're not able to invest. So if you describe the country, Venezuela, as uninvestable, it means you're not able to invest in Venezuela. From a commercial and legal standpoint. Now, this is important because you might say, oh, Venezuela is uninvestable. And there could be many reasons why. Maybe it's because of the location of the country. Maybe it's because of the climate of the country. So you would say from a location standpoint, from a climate standpoint. So this is the area, the reason, the topic that makes Venezuela uninvestable, a country that is not able to receive investment. So the standpoint is from a commercial and legal standpoint. So from a, and then you can have whatever this is, from a commercial and legal standpoint. Let's keep reading. That may seem like stating the obvious. So that represents what was just said, that Venezuela is uninvestable from a commercial and legal standpoint. That may seem like stating the obvious. This statement suggests that everyone knows Venezuela is uninvestable. That's what is communicated with this statement. Venezuela has been subject to tough U.S. sanctions for nearly a decade. So now they're providing reasons why it's obvious that Venezuela is uninvestable. One reason being Venezuela has been subject to tough U.S. sanctions. If they've been subject to, it means that they have these tough sanctions apply to them. For nearly a decade being 10 years. So nearly a decade sounds like 8-9 years. And its economy has suffered from decades of corruption and mismanagement. Again, reasons why it's obvious that Venezuela is uninvestable. Of course, according to this article. Changing this reality would require several significant steps. So remember at the beginning, they used reality check to talk about how Trump's plan to invest in Venezuela oil may not be based on reality. So that's reality check. So changing this reality, the current reality being that Venezuela is uninvestable, would require several significant steps, beginning with the establishment of a government that can guarantee security on the ground. So on the ground means in Venezuela. So if U.S. companies or employees have to go and work in Venezuela, or any companies or people have to go and work in Venezuela, will they be safe? That is on the ground. Guarantee security on the ground and provide economic stability and fiscal confidence. All that could take months, if not years. Let's review the use of if not years. I really like this sentence structure. Notice all that, so guaranteeing security, providing stability, and providing fiscal confidence, that represents all that, could take months, if not years. So if not years, you could summarize this simply as or years. It means at least months, possibly even years. So months is the minimum, and then years is a likely scenario. reality check, you could use that before that. Reality check, that could take months, if not years, because you want to provide a more realistic perspective. So you can use this with a time reference. You can say becoming fluent could take years, if not a lifetime. So you can be specific with days, months, weeks, years, hours, minutes, or you can be more figurative, could take years, if not a lifetime. Or you can use this with a financial amount as well. I might say the repairs could cost hundreds, if not thousands. So I'm saying, let's say there was some damage caused by a storm to our roof. And I could say the repairs could cost hundreds. So hundreds is either, it could be 200, it could be 500, it could be 800, but that would be the minimum. Realistically, it's more likely that it will cost thousands. So notice, if not, and then you provide the higher, more realistic scenario. The repairs could cost hundreds, if not thousands. So this is a great sentence structure to practice, and we use it when we want to be more dramatic, when we want to emphasize something. So practice that. Think of a situation, start with time references, and then move on to dollar amounts as well. And you can use this with other amounts. Let's keep going. Nevertheless, so here, nevertheless is used to say, let's not consider this information. Nevertheless, the Trump administration is moving fast. So we don't consider this information, which sounds negative. The Trump administration is moving fast. So alternatively, you can use however, although, even though. Nevertheless sounds more formal. Nevertheless, the Trump administration is moving fast. Washington is working on lifting some sanctions. So Washington represents the government, the US government, because this is where business takes place, in Washington. So when you just see Washington in this context, you know it represents the US government. Washington is working on lifting some sanctions. Lifting is another word for removing, or it could be reducing or removing some sanctions on Caracas, which would help stabilize the economy and facilitate the sale of Venezuela's oil. So facilitate is a more advanced way of just saying help achieve this, help the sale, help make it possible, facilitate the sale of Venezuela's oil, providing the country with badly needed cash. And of course, vocabulary always depends on context. Like in this context, the word Washington means the US government. But in a totally different context, if I said I went on vacation to Washington, of course, I'm just talking about the place, not the US government. So it really depends on context, just like the word badly. If you say the student behaved badly, my child behaved badly during the performance, well, then you know that means negatively or poorly or in a not appropriate way. But in this case, badly needed cash means very much needed cash. So it is an intensifier. It has a completely different meaning. So I just want to make sure when you see badly, you don't have an image of a child behaving poorly or badly, very much. So if you say, oh, this was badly needed, it means it was very much needed. The support was badly needed. The support was very much needed. And that is the end of the article. So what I'll do now is I'll read the article from start to finish, and you can focus on my pronunciation. Big Oil offers reality check to Trump's Venezuela dream. Big oil companies have injected a heavy dose of realism into U.S. President Donald Trump's plan to rapidly invest billions in Venezuela, pointing to complex security, commercial, and legal requirements to revitalize the country's crumbling oil industry. On the face of it, Friday's televised White House meeting with the leadership of major U.S. and European oil producers was a win for the U.S. president. It projected a sense of urgency, coming less than a week after the ouster of Venezuela's president, Nicolas Maduro, and Trump received lavish praise from many executives around the table. But the meeting was far from a ringing endorsement of Trump's ambitions to see energy giants pour $100 billion into Venezuela's oil industry, dramatically increasing its current production of around 900,000 barrels per day. Indeed, ExxonMobil CEO Darren Woods asserted that the Latin American country was currently uninvestable from a commercial and legal standpoint. That may seem like stating the obvious. Venezuela has been subject to tough U.S. sanctions for nearly a decade, and its economy has suffered from decades of corruption and mismanagement. Changing this reality would require several significant steps, beginning with the establishment of a government that can guarantee security on the ground and provide economic stability and fiscal confidence. All of that could take months, if not years. Nevertheless, the Trump administration is moving fast. Washington is working on lifting some sanctions on Caracas, which would help stabilize the economy and facilitate the sale of Venezuela's oil, providing the country with badly needed cash. Amazing job! Do you want to keep learning English with the news? If you do, put yes, 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 put yes, yes, yes in the comments below. And of course, make sure you like this lesson, share it with your friends, and subscribe so you're notified every time I post a new lesson. And you can get this free speaking guide where I share 6 tips on how to speak English fluently and confidently. You can click here to download it or look for the link in the description. And here's another lesson I know you'll love. Watch it now.